Defense Secretary Robert Gates gave the commencement speech Saturday for the fall graduating class of Indiana University. The Secretary talked about what it takes for a career in public service.
We who have taken this path actually believe we can make a difference, that we can change the lives of others for the better, that we can make a positive difference in the life of our country.
The Department of Defense has announced the deployment of approximately 6,000 additional troops to Afghanistan. Members of the 2nd Brigade Combat Team, a 101st Airborne Division out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky, will start deploying during early of summer 2010. The move is part of the troop surge approved by President Barack Obama. And Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Admiral Mike Mullen, is back in the United States after a trip to Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Iraq. During a press briefing in Baghdad on Saturday, Admiral Mullen expressed concern about Iran's influence on the future stability of Iraq.
Iran's a neighbor, and there needs to be a relationship there, and I understand that between Iraq and Iran, and I think the political leaders have to work that out. But I worry a great deal about Iran's view of destabilizing this region as well.
The chairman said the situation in Iraq continues to improve, and American forces are still on track to end their mission there by next August. The Senate over the weekend approved the Defense Appropriations Bill. Air Force Master Sergeant Mike Burnett has more details on what this bill means for the Defense Department.
Defense officials welcomed the passage of the National Defense Authorization Act for 2010. The budget funds military programs and wartime operations in Afghanistan and Iraq and provides a military pay raise. President Barack Obama signed the act into law December 19th after the Senate approved it during an early Saturday morning session. The $636.3 billion legislation provides $128.3 billion for operations in Iraq and Afghanistan and a 3.4% military pay raise. The law also extends various authorities and other non-defense fiscal 2010 appropriations, according to White House officials. Most of these provisions involved temporary extensions of emergency unemployment and health care benefits that had been set to expire. Defense Secretary Gates issued a statement saying passage ensures continuity of funding for our troops in combat and for all of the Department of Defense. For Around the Services, Master Sergeant Mike Burnett.
Major General Anthony Cucolo has clarified a general order regarding pregnancy issued to soldiers under his command in Iraq. The general order implemented in the combat zone of Iraq is to govern the conduct of all service members. General Cucolo maintains that disciplinary action for pregnancy could be handled in other ways than a court-martial. The commander of troops serving in Task Force Marne near Tikrit, Iraq, also says he believes there should be professional consequences for behavior prohibited by military guidelines.
This aspect of General Order number 1 is a good order and discipline issue, and I believe that I can handle violations of this aspect with lesser degrees of punishment. So, no, I do not. I have not ever considered court-martial for this. I do not ever see myself putting a soldier in jail for this.
The general says the level of punishment will be decided on a case-by-case basis for both male and female soldiers involved. He says General Order number 1 underscores the need for soldiers to think before they act and to consider the effect on their team when a soldier leaves the fight before the end of their deployment. The pregnancy guidelines are part of a general order issued on November 4th for personnel operating with Task Force Marne. And it was a busy weekend for National Guardsmen in 7 states. They were called to duty as a snowstorm blanketed the Northeast. Officials say more than 1,200 citizen soldiers in Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, Maryland, Delaware, North Carolina, and the District of Columbia responded to calls for road clearing, evacuations, and other emergencies. Authorities say the storm also may have contributed to at least 3 deaths in Virginia. Coming up ahead on Around the Services, some airmen give a group of needy children a lift to the North Pole for a dose of Christmas cheer. But first, housing help. Despite tough economic conditions nationwide, some BAH rates are actually going down. We'll help you make sense of how the basic allowance for housing is calculated. Stick around. Staff Sergeant Brian Buckwalter is back with more.
This is Around